So tax season officially started today, and it's as complicated as ever with the pandemic causing a lot of changes from the government. So as you start to think about your W-2s, a 1040, and all the rest, we have the 1, 2, 3s of this tax season with someone who's been helping people for decades. Joining us live is Christopher Fabian, Vice President of Tax Operations at EG Tax Service. Great to have you on, Chris. I want to start here with just kind of the big one, the child tax credit changes that allowed a lot of families to kind of get that money up front for the second half of the year once the changes went into effect. What do families need to know about how that's going to impact their tax returns?
Sure. First thing they got to remember is that's an advance of their refund for this year. So when they come in, when anybody's doing their tax return, they have to reconcile that with the IRS. So on Form 8812, the thing is you got to remember, if you aren't sure, if you didn't receive the letter 6419 from the IRS that says how many children and how much you received in advance. If you're wrong, you could look up to 6 months to a year delay in your refund. So if you're not certain of how much you got in advance, create an account with the IRS and get that figured out, because you don't want to have your refund wait a year.
Yeah, and you can luckily just do that right online. The child tax credit isn't the only change that people need to watch out for this year. What are a couple of the other things that you think people need to kind of be thinking about right now as they prepare for their filings?
Sure. Another big thing is the child and dependent care credit has changed drastically. That used to be a maximum of $600 per child, $1,200 for 2 or more children in your house when you're paying for somebody to watch your child. And that was a non-refundable credit. Now it's a refundable credit, which means if you have extra, the government's going to give it back to you. And that's up to $4,000 credit per child, $8,000 for 2 or more children. So you're looking, if you had 3 children, last year you got a $1,200 credit. This year, that could be up to $8,000. So that's an extra $6,800 in somebody's pocket.
Chris, we've heard that the IRS is still backed up from last year's return and that we should expect delays. I mean, that warning's kind of been out there for a while now. How long do you think we're talking here? And does it mean that people should file now? I mean, I guess it's going to be delayed one way or the other, but the earlier you file, the earlier you should expect to get your money?
Well, do it electronically. That's the best advice I can give you. Do your return electronically. Do not mail it in. If you're mailing it in, you're looking over a year and waiting. There's still people that mailed in their 2019 return and they haven't received it yet because the IRS is still working from home. They're not working in their offices, so it's taking them a lot longer to process things.
Any idea? I mean, I guess it's dependent on the pandemic, right? But have there been any announced plans of when they'll actually be going back to the office and when things may start to improve, or is it kind of just wait and see?
Yeah, it's a wait and see. I know they just hired a whole bunch of people, but it still comes down to getting the physical files to the people when they're working at home to work the case. So I know a couple of people who work locally at the IRS, and they have to go like once a week to pick up files and then work on them at home. So it's a tough, I wouldn't want to be them. I mean, they should be back in the office, but I can't make that call.
Yeah. Well, good to know that, I mean, electronic is the way to go if you want to get your return faster. And if you're paying money, then you know you get to wait till April to file your return. That way the government doesn't get your money earlier.
Yep.
Christopher
April
Fabian,
18th this year.
That's right. Christopher Fabian is Vice President of Tax Operations for EG Tax Service. Thanks for coming on, Chris.
Not a problem. Have a good one.
Thank you, everybody, for watching today's Town Hall. We'll leave you with our text line number, 716-849-2220.